Hi there. This time around we are going to review multi-step equations. A multi-step equation is where we just have extra things to do beyond our two steps. A lot of the time we are going to see this in something where we have to combine like terms before solving or distribute before solving. So we're going to do one of each of those. This is our distributive property. In general, we would subtract 3, then multiply the answer by 2, and we would hope to get 14 at the end. That said, I can't do x minus 3. I can, however, distribute my 2 to both terms inside. This becomes a 2x, and 2 times 3 is 6. We keep our subtraction sign. That's still going to be equal to 14. Once we've distributed, this will turn into a nice two-step equation for us. So what we're saying right now is I have a number, multiply by 2, subtract 6, and get 14. So I need to go through those doing the opposite order of operations and the inverse operation. So I need to add 6, because that was the last thing I was going to do, was subtract 6. I add 6 to both sides. I now have 2x left on the left side and 20 left on the right side. I'll then divide by 2 on both sides, because the first thing I would have done is multiply my 2 by x. Those cancel out. I'll be left with just an x on the left side and a 10 on the right side. For a second example, we could have 2 minus 3 times the quantity of 2x minus 5 equal to 12. So there's a lot going on here. Okay, the first thing we need to realize is that this will count as a negative 3 being multiplied in there. So I'm going to circle the negative and the 3 and draw my multiplication lines here. I still have this 2 out front. Negative 3 times 2x is negative 6x. Negative 3 times, now this last part, there's two ways to look at it. We could look at this as negative 3 times 5 and keep our minus sign, negative 3 times 5 being negative 15. Or I could look at it as negative 3 times negative 5 and say that that is positive 15. So it's still going to be equal to 12. Either way, whether we do the minus negative 15 or plus 15, they both turn into a positive 15, because we should know if we subtract a negative, that is the same as adding a positive. Then we see if we can combine like terms. I have a 2 and I have a 15. We should know that like terms are terms that have the same variable and corresponding variables have the same exponent. Well, neither one of those has a variable, and they're both on the same side of the equal sign, so I can just put them together. And I wind up with 17 minus 6x equal to 12. From there, we're getting closer to our two-step equation. I will subtract 17 first. I'm always wanting to get rid of that number that does not have any variables to slowly isolate my variable. That makes it negative 6x equal to 12 minus 17 is negative 5. Then I'll divide by my negative 6 on both sides. My negative 6 will cancel out. X will be equal to, my negatives cancel out, and I just have a 5 over 6. I think it's important that we have something like this because it's usually good to leave it in fractional form. That makes things very simple for us when we plug things back in. Sometimes you'll be asked to leave things as a decimal, other times you'll be asked to leave things as a fraction. If it does not say, you're probably okay to do either, but that means it'll be easier to leave it as a fraction.